Recording in progress.
Okay, good go.
Okay, meeting will come to order. Our chairman is not here tonight, I'm vice chair, Ron Mitchell. I'll be running the meeting tonight, and everybody get copies of the minutes from the last meeting. The only error I'm missing on there is on the bottom, on the last page, as me as chairman, it should be Tracy, so just need to correct that. Old habits. I'll take a motion.
Oh, but wait a minute, those were, I think, the minutes where you started as the chair and maybe,
Which one is that for?
This is for last week,
Weren't there 2 weeks worth of?
for the 19th.
no try. Okay.
That's okay. That's all right, I just made the correction on the bottom. Any other errors or omissions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
That's my wife, I'm not here.
That's all right. DA update?
So I'm gonna hold off for the budget updates. The board of selectmen meet tomorrow, so it's kinda a little bit backwards of
Oh,
you
okay.
guys approving and then they approving. So just to make it less confusing so that you can, reapprove, the budget as presented by the board. I've gotta give them some updates that came in last week, so I'll just bring them for next week. We still
Okay.
have time to finish those up. Other than that, today we have our health agencies, the library trustees, cemetery trustees, and our general assistants. We do have a number of the health agencies participating through Zoom. So I'm gonna have them go first, just to get, just a little bit more harder to hear on the Zoom. I'll get them, on and presenting first, if that's okay with you guys, and then we'll get the people in the room.
So, what did you wanna do first?
Probably the health agencies that are on the Zoom first.
Okay, 16?
Yes, yep, so staying in the order, just, might be easier just to get them on and out.
Okay. So I'll take a motion. I'd like to just do South Road Cemetery first, so that you can vote on the rest of the stuff if you want.
All right.
And we'll take 4415, 330. Somebody makes a motion for that.
So move.
Actually, Dawn was gonna speak.
On the South Road?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Yes.
I'll second.
Ready?
Ready?
Traditionally, we ask for $8,000, for the maintenance and upkeep of 80,000. What was last year? Yeah. Sorry, I'm increasing it by, 500. And basically, every year, the town, has been, for as long as we can all remember, given a certain portion of monies for indigent individuals, and where the town does not have its own cemetery, we have a bunch of old ones, but actual, cemetery in general, we are, by RSA required to have, a partnership with the town, I guess, for lack of better words. And so consistently, we have asked for the 8,500 last year because the budget failed. We sliced, really considerable, and, we really can't do that again. It's, there's, maintenance and upkeep that needs to get done. There's some road work that needs to get done this year that should have get done last year. There's some fence work that needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, and Sharon can certainly, talk about this when she talks about all the town, the little cemeteries all through town, the perpetual care money is so restrictive for us to be able to use that, we have to budget to support the, those goals. And so, between the maintenance and upkeep, the this year, we're gonna try to look at the potentials of digitizing the cemetery so that as individuals leave, we have a foundation, a foot plan, if you will, of what's there. And we hope, the superintendent never leaves us, but unfortunately, as we experienced years ago as a town, when we had our, water and sewer individual, Frankie Claremont, he had it all in his brain, and then when he left, it was really a challenge to, look at, really understanding what was in the ground, who was in the ground. And so, we really do need to take that on, whether we can pull that off this year or not, we have no idea. And then, of course, we have the superintendent, I mean, you know, he meets and, you know, the residents that need to, purchase, lots, you know, he coordinates with our funeral director, he opens and closes the plots, and then all the landscaping. So, with that said, I am requesting us go back to the 8,500, and I think it's probably money.
Thank you.
Well,
Discussion?
Could you just answer, what portion of this budget does the 85, what is your total budget? What does the 8,500 represent of your budget?
Mrs. Mooney. She's the finance director, sorry.
I can't tell you right off the top of my head, because obviously it is a nonprofit, okay, so we have to, meet all our nonprofit requirements. Again, we have perpetual care that we're limited to, but I would say off the top of my head, just, you know, doing quick figures, I would say we're probably, let me just say, 20, probably around $22,000 a year, because obviously we have water, we have electricity, those types of things. And obviously the town does own a plot there, and the county owns a plot there. And by law, every town has to have, not necessarily have, they could go to another town, but every town by law is required to have an active cemetery where, probably that's why the county and the town own plots there to be able to, if they have to bury someone. And there is, people in both of those,
For indigent individuals.
How many plots does the town have there, and what percent are occupied right now?
I can't answer that. I mean, I know that they have an area, I don't know.
But if you'd like to meet with one of us, we'd be
Okay.
more than happy to give you a big overview.
Okay.
And I can pull out all the plans and meet you
Our
at.
superintendent is, he could sit here and, we're not on the ground, so to speak. I've only had to do 2 burials.
It's an old cemetery. There's people where it goes back to the 1800s, so.
Yeah, there's an old area. And I think there's another, and I'm just guessing, but I believe we have another 13 acres as part of that cemetery that we've not developed.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good. They do a good job for a small town.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. Anyone that visits there is, it's a nice spot in the summertime. We
Right.
grew up on that
It's
hill.
pleasant up there, yeah. Any more questions? Hearing those, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. All right. Granite State VNA, they here?
We have asked, we had Lakes Region Mental Health asked to go first, she's on Zoom, she's feeling unwell, so she would have had requested to go first, so I'm gonna have her go first.
So I'll move 0144153333 through 0144153344.
I'll second it.
Moved in second. Discussion. We don't have any,
Beth, if you would like to go, you are on Zoom.
oh, okay.
Thank you for allowing me to go first too, and via Zoom. I didn't want to share my germs with you 10 New Hampshire designated community mental health centers that serve 24 towns, including Belmont, in all of Belmont and southern Grafton County. This year's request for Belmont is for $14,000, and just some highlights of our fiscal year 2024, which runs from July 1 to June 30th. That ended this June 30th. Our 200 employees serve 3,125 children, adults, and families in our entire catchment area. And we provided $907,630 of charity care to residents of those 24 towns that we serve. And if you're interested, I can explain the increase from fiscal year 23 afterwards. 248 residents of Belmont accessed our services, and we provided Belmont residents with $79,180 in charity care, which was a 96% increase from fiscal year 23. We served 69 children, 138 adults, and 41 elders from Belmont. And notably, there was a 26% increase in children served ages 0 to 17, which is a trend we're seeing locally and nationally. So Belmont is no different. And just as a comparison, just to remind you, last year we provided 3,000, fiscal year 23, that is, we provided $3,011 in charity care to Belmont residents. Belmont represents 8% of our total catchment area, and our requests are based on the percentage of people living in your community, and at $1,750 per 1% of the population. So hopefully that makes sense. This year, in fact, just in October, we piloted open access services to meet the demand for mental health services and reduce or eliminate wait times for care. So that allows people to walk in the door and have an immediate intake appointment during set times, which happen on Mondays and Tuesdays in our recruiting. The Access to Care program, which is what this request is for, is not a revenue generating program. So it's not like services we can bill for. It's administrative. So the budget deficit for the program is over $500,000, and there are high costs to maintaining the 24-hour staffing for the services we provide. And Lake Station Mental Health Center provides services to anyone regardless of their ability to pay, which reflects the high amount of charity care provided, and whether they eventually become a patient at Lake Station Mental Health. So for instance, if a patient accesses services through Rapid Response or our mobile crisis team, they may or may not become a patient of the State Mental Health Center, but we provide those services immensely. I think that's about it, unless you have a question.
So what percentage you get from the towns, but you must get a percentage from the federal government, the state government, so.
Yeah, it's not based on a percent, it's actually based on the services provided. So there are rates that are associated with each service, and they're mostly governed by Medicaid. We're about 70% funded through Medicaid, which is a high indicator that the majority of our patients served are of low socioeconomic status. And incidentally, the high number of charity care was provided last year, that's associated with that. So during the public health emergency that ended a little over a year ago, there were no spend downs associated with Medicaid, but as people re-enrolled to become eligible for services, they became subject to those spend downs or a deductible again. But the vast majority of those people cannot afford those spend downs, so those end up being services that we provide through charity care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any members have any more questions? We want to take these individually or do them all at once, I guess? I mean, we moved them all at once. So, do we have other folks that are gonna speak on any of these?
Yes, we have probably 5 or 6 on Zoom, and then the rest of the audience here to speak on.
Okay.
Do you wanna vote on each individual
Well,
one?
I think we're gonna have to because
Because it'll get too confusing.
I think so.
So this one.
So we need a motion to accept that figure,
We'll accept that, you gotta,
that line?
that line, that number, yep.
I'll move to accept, line 014415342.
I'll second it.
All right, been moved in second. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Oh,
Did they? Did you
I thought
already
we
vote?
did.
You
We
already
did.
did.
I thought we did vote on
Did
this.
that first.
Pardon?
Okay, the motion didn't include the dollar amount,
okay.
Oh, okay.
for the Southwood Cemetery. If we wanna keep them
Well,
consistent,
Well, Ruth,
do we wanna add?
you'll have to, put the dollar amount on your motion.
I didn't make the motion, did I?
No.
Didn't you make the motion? Oh, no,
No.
he did, I'm sorry. You have to put the
For
dollar.
this one right now?
Thank you.
Yep,
I'll just amend to add the dollar amount of, $14,000.
okay,
I'll second it again.
all right. All right, we'll get on the right page here. All those in favor? Okay, the ayes have it.
And then someone needs to make a motion for the Southwood Cemetery line also.
Okay,
I'll move to approve the Southwest Cemetery line 014415330 for $8,500.
Second.
been moved and seconded. Any more discussions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Moving along.
Granite DNA is next. Do I have a representative from Granite DNA on Zoom?
In person.
Oh, in person. Do you wanna go back and forth to the Zoom or in person, or how do you wanna, kinda?
Well, we've got people here, so they're not gonna go anywhere, but if you wanna do the Zooms,
I don't think either ones are going anywhere. Who is next? Franklin DNA, Sherry.
So I'll move 014415343.
Second.
all right, discussion?
We already moved.
Did the whole thing, all right,
Yeah.
okay.
All been moved.
Pull that back out.
I know.
Just wanna make sure we've covered everything.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not speaking up tonight.
So we have Sherry from Franklin DNA.
Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sherry Murray, and I'm representing Franklin VNA and Hospice. Also on virtually is my CEO, Kristen Albert, who's also a Belmont resident, and Nicholas Johnson, who's my revenue integrity manager, in case you guys are being hard to get any questions that I can't answer. We are a small nonprofit home health and hospice organization. We're located in Franklin, but we service individuals in 14 different towns, both in Belknap and Merrimack County, of which we see a lot of residents in Belmont. We provide home health care, which is patients coming home after a hospital stay or had a recent surgery or have a new medical diagnosis, and they need us to come up and see them in their homes, typically for 6 to 8 weeks. We also provide hospice care, which is end-of-life care, and we provide long-term care through our private duty department, and a lot of those patients are your homebound elderly or disabled patients. And our services keep them home and out of the facilities. Our fiscal year runs January to December, so the stats I'm gonna give you are for our last calendar year. In 2023, we provided over $325,918 in unreimbursed care. That care is primarily charitable care. Our patients patients are taken on based on their medical needs, not on their ability to pay for services. We do not bill patients directly. So say, for instance, a patient has a copay or deductible, they typically would never get a bill. And it also covers our community health clinics that we provide in the various towns. In 2024, so far this year, we have provided 9 blood pressure clinics in the town of Belmont, 2 flu clinics, and also attended the trunk or treat. We try to attend as many community events as possible. We're also trying to provide more community education in the towns, including Belmont, especially since our understanding is that the senior center is no longer more. In 2023, we had a 5% increase in residents in Belmont that came on service with us for our hospice department, and a 3% increase of patients from the town of Belmont that received our home health services. And along with that, 14% of our staff are actual residents of the town of Belmont. Does anybody have any questions?
How big is your staff?
Our staff, we have 42 staff members, and 14% live in Belmont. And we're seeking a town appropriation of $4,000. That money goes directly to our charitable care. It can be directly to the residents of Belmont if you want. We are able to break down by town where the town appropriation goes. But it would go to our charitable care and also any community health clinics.
I have a question.
Questions?
I have a question. I noticed that there's other VNAs listed on, under the health agencies. What determines where people will go to get the assistance?
So, this is a very good question. So, the government says we can't have monopoly, patients need a choice. So if a physician determines that a patient needs home health services, they have to be given the choice of more than one agency. So our territories overlap so that the patients have a choice.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Any more discussion?
Can I just question why we didn't accept their, what
The
didn't
only thing that
accept
I'm, it's been a while since we talked about this, but I believe it had to do with the number of residents that it served within our town. I think that that's why we, and obviously we kept it flat, with the 24 and 23 for that one.
So they requested 4,000 and the selectmen is 2,500?
Yes.
Is that because of,
I
don't know if
believe the
we-
number of patients served, yes.
Okay.
I believe that that was the determination of that.
So there were more served by Lakes Region
Yes.
and Granite?
Yeah. I would say so, if I remember correctly. Yep.
So I'll take a motion on the 2,500.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I moved and seconded for the $2,500. 2,500. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have Tara from CASA.
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Which one is she?
She is CASA line 336.
336.
336? Need a motion on that one?
No, we did one on all of it.
Yeah, we did all of them.
Oh, we did, okay, that's right. First day in that job.
Thank you for having me here. My name is Cara Bergeron. I'm with Prospect, New Hampshire. We are requesting 500 from the town to support the advocates who are residents of Belmont that are currently serving Belmont children in their cases. Our fiscal year runs July 1 to June 30. The last fiscal year, CASA served 30 children from the town of Belmont. This year, we're currently supporting 19 children. And the volunteers on the cases are meeting with these kids every month to make sure that they're getting the support and voice that they need. They're going to court and recommend things to the judge what's in the child's best interest. We are the only nonprofit in the state that is providing this service to the children. Since we're a full party and we're appointed by the court, the judges really take into value what the CASAs have to say because they are often the only ones that are consistent for the life of the case. Various parties tend to change, BCYF tends to change, but the CASA is there for the kid for the life of the case, making sure that they have the ability and the opportunity to grow and thrive in a safe and permanent home. Is there any questions on anything?
I didn't get, how many from Belmont were you doing?
Right now, there's 19 children. Last fiscal year, there were 30.
I'm having a hard time understanding what they're saying. It's kind of blurred, because I got hearing aids and that doesn't help, but.
Huh?
Yeah, right.
Do I need to speak louder?
I didn't get what you
No,
said.
we're all set. We're all set,
We're
thank
good.
you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Discussion? Anybody got any questions? Hearing none, I'll take a motion on the amount.
I'll move to approve 0144153336 CASA for $500.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I think my last Zoom person might be Jen from Waypoint. Which is 327.
Hello,
Hi.
so I'm Jen Gallo, I'm representing Waypoint. We are the oldest organization serving children in the state. We were established in 1850. We serve an average of 8,000 families statewide in 4 different care areas. We have early childhood and family support services, family preservation and strengthening services. We work with homeless youth, and we also have a category of health, well-being, and independence. We served 12 clients and their families in Belmont last year through 2 of our programs, healthcare coordination and community-based voluntary services. In our healthcare coordination, we help children up to the age of 21 with chronic health conditions and their families. Some of our caseworkers actually stay with our families for the full 21 years. The caseworkers help with self-advocacy, identifying resources, navigating complex medical systems and public funding mechanisms. The care that we provide prevents institutional care and hospitalization of the children that we work with. And it also assists in addressing practical needs such as gift cards, adaptive need care, grocery gift cards, and recreational activities such as camps. In our community-based voluntary services program, we work with families that were referred by DCI DCYF to improve family functioning and prevent future DCYF involvement. This is a shorter-term care. Let's see, so families that were in CBSV or that have not been in CBSV, typically, they are placed in foster care, which is a cost to the town. So our services prevent that involvement. We support families by stabilizing their lives, to reduce involvement. Sorry, I just said that. So, yeah, that's. Is there any questions?
So do you work with the local schools too, with these kids?
We do with the community-based voluntary services, yes. We work in several aspects of that. We work with schools, helping with IEPs and things like that. We get our referrals straight from DCYF, but referrals that go to DCYF can come from schools and from other, like, hospitals and things like that. Oh, and I forgot to mention, sorry, we also have a family resource center. It's located in Laconia, but it's open to any clients, so that's not counted in our 12 Belmont residents that serve. That's exclusively healthcare coordination and CBSV. And through our family resource center, we provide parenting workshops and education. We provide family fun events, opportunities for socialization. We provide basic needs like diapers, hygiene products, grocery gift cards, things of that nature. So that's all free to our to any residents that want to come in for services.
Thank you. More discussion?
Do we know why the selectmen wanted to reduce this?
I think numbers.
Can I also, part of it was, the numbers that we approved were the numbers that they received last year because of the default budget.
Well, this is showing that.
That made the motions and seconded felt that the money that was gone through as default last year, would have been a sufficient amount.
State your name when you speak.
Sorry,
People-
Sharon Champion.
Well, you're not in the camera, so people don't know.
Oh,
And you're a selectman.
Selectman Sharon Champion.
Okay, thank you.
This is showing though that the default was 4,000.
Sharon, we only approved 2,000.
I think where she's getting the okay, sorry.
Yeah, there were some of them that were just trying to save money.
So why is the actual column different? Is that because we haven't given the full amount?
After the March meeting, we went to a default, the board looked at every single budget and they cut the health agencies by, Steve, was it 33%? Or so that is what the actual was, what they reduced their numbers to.
Mhm.
And I think when we came to the budget discussions, they decided to try to keep some of those with the reduced default.
So basically, this year, we went according to what the actual column is, not so much what the default budget
Yep.
was.
Yeah, could be.
Okay.
Hearing no more discussion, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion, to accept 0144153337 in the amount of $2,000.
Second it.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I believe that's all we have on the Zoom, so if you want to say that up to Brent DNA, if they're here in person, and that's line 333.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Julie Stone. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Granite BNA. We are located in Laconia, Wolfboro, and Concord, and we serve 75 communities, including Belmont. Similar to Franklin BNA, we provide home care and hospice services as well as wellness services. In addition, we provide home care and hospice services your traditional older hospice patients. Our services additionally include some specialty care services that you may be familiar with if you've had someone on home care, like wound care services and IV care services. So we have very sophisticated abilities to provide care in the home. We also provide hospice services as well as in addition to someone's home. We have a hospice house on the campus of the Concord Hospital. So if you needed more intensive hospice services, you could go there for your end of life. And in the town of Belmont, we've also been providing wellness clinics and services, including foot care and nursing service at some of the senior locations, senior housing in Belmont, so that people can have classes and training on how to remain independent for as long as possible. We're requesting $22,000, which is level funding for the past 3 years, has been our request. We have been providing service to individuals who are underinsured and uninsured, so regardless of their ability to pay, we provide their care. Much like Franklin VNA is committed to providing care to anyone regardless of their needs, we are as well. And those dollars in total for our organization on an annual basis total nearly $2 million. We are the largest VNA in the state, and we serve a total of about 10,000 patients a year. Of those, about 215 are from the town of Belmont, and although the number of patients decreased slightly the last fiscal year, the number of visits that those same patients required actually increased, which to us tells us that we've been caring for sicker individuals in their homes, which is not surprising because people prefer to be in home and hospitals prefer to go out of the hospital. And so our level of care for those individuals who live in Belmont has had to increase over the past year, and that's why our request is for federal funding. Any questions?
Thank you. Discussion? Yeah, what you provide for the people that's sorely needed. I think that a lot of the people don't see what's happening. You know, they're driving through town or wherever they're going. They don't understand that there is a lot of people that are homebound and they're hurting. So we appreciate your work, along with the others.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any more discussion? I'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve 014415-333 Granite VNA for the $16,500 that Selectmen approved.
Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Do we have any other presenters?
Oh, we didn't do Lakes Region? So Lakes Region VNA? So this is Lakes Region VNA 343.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Erin Josky. I have the privilege of serving as the CEO of the Lakes Region VNA. And much like my peers, not to sound like I'm echoing them, but we're a nonprofit that has the privilege of serving this community that we've been committed to for now over 100 years. Much like my peers, we have found that there's an increased complexity of the patients that we must care for and a decreased need for them to be able to cover those costs. So we have an increase in charitable care, an increase in non-reimbursable community care, and most importantly, we've also chosen to really invest in our staff and in the community members who are choosing to pursue careers in the clinical sciences by providing scholarships and tuition reimbursement. So that is essentially my stance. I think it's incredibly important that we not only continue to serve the community, but that we elevate our ability to do so, given the greater push to leave the hospital sooner with increased complexity. Over the last fiscal year, we've served 1,440 visits here in Belmont. The majority of those have been both home care and hospice skilled nursing, as well as occupational therapy, rehab therapy, and of course social work. questions that you have.
Well, we know that, like I was just saying, that it's a lot cheaper to keep people at home as opposed to going into facilities which are overcrowded and keeps the dignity of the individual.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And frankly, they get better health outcomes, which is what we all like to see.
Well, the depression sets in if you get into a facility that, so, we've all seen that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your consideration.
Motion?
I'll make a motion for, 014415-343, in the amount of $2,000.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, community action.
Hello,
Hi.
it's Erin again. My name is Beth Hayward, and I'm the Strategy and Planning Director for Community Action Program. First, we just want to say thank you for your support for many, many years. 2025 is our 60th birthday, as we're calling it. We are throwing ourselves a 60th birthday party. We've been around for 60 years in the state of New Hampshire, which is really exciting for us. And so we couldn't do what we do without all of the town support. So thank you to Belmont for always supporting us in everything that we're doing. So this past year in Belmont, the town as a whole received $1,101,402 worth of services, which is an increase from last year, which I think we're all seeing. I think everyone here is gonna say they're gonna see an increase. That's what we're seeing right now. What you have in front of you is a little different than what we've done in the past. Normally in the past, we have given you our fuel assistance numbers, our electric assistance numbers, our weatherization, and our food numbers. We decided that as an agency, we wanted the towns to know the full community action impact. So you will see all of our services except for transportation, and that is because it's public transportation, and it's public, so we don't collect data on people using our buses. So this is everything besides that. That's why you're seeing bigger numbers, that's why you're seeing more information, and it's better for us to be able to kind of compare and determine like what towns are getting what services. And so we gave you how many residents, we served 915 households with 1,076, and we included meals, which is 18,273, and those meals are Meals on Wheels. Those are congregate meals, so someone coming to a senior center and eating a meal there. And then summer food meals, if any residents, any kids from Belmont went to one of our summer food programs. So that 18,000 of those three services combined. We are asking for $15,000, which is what we asked for last year. Actually, I think we've asked that for the last couple of years. In the funding that all the towns provide, help us maintain our resource centers that are in, the one closest is Laconia. It's open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. It's a referral center, so you walk in and you can apply for fuel, electric, you can get food, and you can apply for weatherization services. And then besides that, we're matching to determine what other referrals we can do within our own agency. So what else do you qualify for? And then we work very closely with Donna, very often, in all of the welfare in all 38 cities and towns in our 2 counties. And so we are able to keep these centers open year-round, fully staffed, because of the funds that the towns provide us. Because our federal funds for fuel assistance, because fuel is federal funded, electric assistance is state funded, and then the town funding is like the 3rd peg. So we have we're a stool and we got 3 pegs, and that's how we're able to really do all the things we do at our resource centers.
You used to serve meals here in this building.
Yes.
At one time.
Yep.
So, if folks wanted, elderly people wanted a meal, where do they go?
Laconia is the closest. Laconia, and there's Alton, we also have a senior center.
So the one in Tilton, what's about the one in Tilton?
Oh, yep, also, yep, Tilton, Laconia, Alton. You're gonna test my ability to tell you all of them.
No,
Those
well,
are the
those are the closest ones.
Yes.
If
Yep.
you live on the north part, you go to Laconia. If you on the western part of the
And
state.
anyone is welcome to, and those, our senior centers are obviously about food, but it's also so much more than food. It's the social aspect, there's lots of fun activities, and then Meals on Wheels, I know we have a ton of people in Belmont that receive Meals on Wheels. Those are delivered 2 days a week, but on the off days, individuals are getting a phone call, a check-in, so it's not just about the food, it's some individuals, that's one of the only interactions they get. It's a way for us to kind of get a pulse and determine, hey, maybe this individual needs some more services and not just Meals on Wheels. So we're able to do that with those check-ins, those phone calls. Hey, how you doing today? Everything okay? Do you need anything?
Because I know, our local pantries are pretty busy.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that are really hurting. So, we appreciate all of that.
Any more questions for me? Thank you.
Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I'll move 0144153335 for $13,000.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, we get New Beginnings. Anybody here from New Beginnings?
Yes.
Good
Hi
evening.
there. I'm Shauna Foster. I'm the Executive Director of New Beginnings. We are your local domestic and sexual violence crisis center, and we're the only agency providing specialized domestic violence and sexual assault support services in Belmont County. We're also one of 12 member programs of the New Hampshire Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. So they act as a technical assistance provider, compliance monitor, and pass-through agency for state and federal funds. In the last year alone, our team of 10 advocates provided over 5,000 services to 797 individuals. Those services are all confidential, non-judgmental, and free of charge. They include a emergency shelter for women and women with children who are fleeing intimate partner violence at home, transitional housing for up to 2 years at a facility in Meredith that is open to residents of the town of Belmont, court accompaniment, 24-hour support to your police department for a program called LAP, which stands for the Lethality Assessment Program. That's an evidence-based program designed to reduce domestic violence homicides. The state of Maryland has done research and in the 15 or so years that they've been operating the program, they have cut their DV homicides in half. So while we don't have data in New Hampshire to reflect our work, we have reason to believe that the program is working, and it has certainly strengthened our relationships with law enforcement partners, increasing the chances of them connecting victims with our agency for support. We also offer support groups for children, teens, and adults, court support, participation in local task forces and committees, and we have a prevention educator who is in schools across the county providing evidence-based, age-appropriate programming to students focused on body safety, anti-bullying, and anti-violence programming to hopefully break the cycle of violence, and she is in Belmont schools as well. I think our emergency shelter is probably what we're best known for, and it is also our program that is perhaps needed the most by our community. In recent years, we have found that we are always full. When we have an opening, it typically only lasts for a day or two while we're turning the room over. And we're also finding that families especially are taking longer to transition from shelter. So we don't have those openings for folks who are calling us in an emergency situation. We've also been fortunate enough to grow our staff to better meet the increasing needs in our community. So to resolve this issue somewhat, we've obtained additional office space in downtown Laconia. We call it our program center. And the program center hosts a meeting space for our local sexual assault resource team, which does include Belmont PD. It also houses a couple of advocates who work with non-residential clients to give us some additional meeting space to meet with those survivors. It gives more privacy to the folks who are staying in our shelter, which is a very good thing.
but most importantly, it's increased our shelter capacity. So in June, we went from operating a 4-bed, 2-bath shelter to a 6-bed, 4-bath emergency shelter. As soon as we put the beds in the rooms were full. They are full today, as is our transitional housing program in Meredith.
The one in Laconia, is that the one on Court Street?
It's on North Main Street next to the fire
North
department.
Main Street, no.
In fiscal year 2024, so July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024, our advocates provided 267 services to 51 Belmont residents. Those services included 6 bed nights in emergency shelter, emergency emotional support and safety services via the 24-hour crisis line, 1 hospital accompaniment for a sexual assault, court accompaniment, assistance obtaining pro bono legal counsel, again, partnership with Belmont PD for lethality assessment program calls, material goods assistance, 1 case of emergency transportation, and financial assistance and hotel vouchers that totaled $1,065.87. We never require that the people seeking our services give us any name or identifying information, so it's very likely that the dollar value and services that I just rattled off to you are actually higher for your residents, and we're just unaware of that. Of the 797 people we serve, over 100 choose to either remain anonymous or not give us their town, so our data doesn't always reflect our good work. We are requesting $1,900 from the Town of Belmont this year. I understand that you're making a lot of difficult decisions to fund worthy organizations, and just know that any support that you are willing to give to New Beginnings is very impactful, and we're very grateful. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
How many individuals from Belmont have used shelters?
We had 2 individuals from Belmont who made up the 6-bed nights last year, so it was a lower number. It varies very widely year to year.
So 2, okay, all right, thank you.
Discussion? Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Take a motion.
I'll move to approve line 014415-340 for New Beginnings for the 1,900 requested.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. People are getting weak. All right, what do we get next here?
American Red Cross.
Red Cross. Well, we all know who they are.
I don't believe we have anyone from the Red Cross here. No.
Well, they pretty much speak for themselves, the Red Cross. A building burns down and they're there to help out, so we're all familiar with what they've done and the
Well, I think when we were
hurricanes.
looking at this, we were referring also to, I know that St. Joseph's does a, blood drive, God, what, at least once a month, if not more than that, every so many weeks, they're doing a blood drive here at St. Joseph's, so. Is it once a month?
Yeah. It's in the newsletter, that's how we know.
Okay, yeah, I should know, but,
Okay, I'll take a motion then.
I'll move to approve 014415-341 for the American Red Cross for the $3,000 the selectmen approved.
Do we have a second?
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right. Partnership with Public Health.
Partnership for Public Health?
Yep.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. I'm Carissa Elford with the Partnership for Public Health. For those who don't know, we've been around since 2005. New Hampshire does things a little bit differently, as we always do, right? Different than our neighboring states. We don't have public health departments here in New Hampshire, except in Manchester and Nashua. So our region is separated into 13 regional public health networks, and our organization
Partnership for Public Health is designated by the state to oversee the Winnipesaukee region. Our services are a bit of a mixed bag of public health services. We provide emergency preparedness and response. We provide Belmont County's Aging and Disability Resource Center. So we're seeing older Belmont residents in their homes and providing them with resources and support. Not in the same way that Brandon VNA does with nursing services, but services about applying for long-term care Medicaid to remain independent, to aid working with caregivers, providing support to caregivers to access those resources so they can help their loved ones stay independent. We also are working with Belmont schools to provide substance misuse education and prevention. We bring training opportunities to youth in Belmont schools. Tobacco cessation, vaping is on the rise in our school districts. So we're working with those student assistance counselors to bring that education into the school district. And lastly, we also offer our health council. So we're bringing together our partners in the region to talk about public health issues. When we had a little thing called COVID a couple years ago, we brought together our partners and all responded together. Belmont's emergency management director and town officials all came together to wrap around that and to figure out how we're going to help, Belmont residents. We were able to rapidly deploy for folks who wanted to receive in-home vaccinations. We were able to come into their homes, especially older Belmont residents who can't get out, and vaccinate them. We're in Belmont schools providing school-based flu clinics every year, and unfortunately, we've seen funding cuts from the federal government around that program, so Belmont's support for that directly relates to us being able to continue to offer that program no matter what to Belmont middle and high schools. And we just wrapped up our clinic there at the end of October. So all of our school-based flu clinics are open now. Lastly, I wanted to highlight our 12-person emergency response trailer that we offer for all of our partners in the region. So what this is it's a response trailer. Belmont's emergency management director calls our public health emergency preparedness director, and it provides the ability to stand up a standalone shelter for Belmont residents whenever it's needed. So it's just a call. It's important because American Red Cross is not able to get in during an emergency for 3 days. So, for example, in Franklin, there was a gas leak and a building needed to be evacuated. And so the Franklin fire chief called our offices, was able to go get the trailer, bring it to Franklin, and those residents had access to anything they would need to stand up a shelter wherever they needed it in the town. So it's something that we provide for free, and it's available to Belmont whenever they need it. So I just wanted to highlight that piece. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And hopefully, we've invited Belmont's emergency management director to our meeting on Thursday where he can board us. So hopefully they'll, but anyone else is welcome too.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Any questions?
I'll move 014415-344 in the amount of $3,000.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I need a motion for the bottom line. 686-9.
I'll move to 669.
Second.
Move.
Move that as recommended by the selectmen.
Yes.
As recommended by the select.
Okay, there we go.
Who was
Thank
our
you.
second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I know we've already approved it. Aye. All right.
17, Ron.
Yep, on to 17. Library.
Hello, everyone. My name's Eileen Gilbert. I'm the library director. This is my 9th year coming before you all and being part of this process. I just want to acknowledge that of our 3 we have, sorry, the library is, managed by, not managed, I manage the library. Is, governed, that's the word I'm looking for, is governed by an elected board of trustees. There are 5 of them, 3 of them are over here tonight. So, just don't want to forget that very important part of things. The library, like all the town departments, is busier than ever. Lots to do, not a lot of space. I think you have some information in front of you that gives you some statistics of the past 2 years. We've been running many programs. We've been working with the space that we have. We have gotten 2 grants in the past 2 years to help improve the accessibility of the library building, making sure that as many Belmont residents as possible are able to take advantage of the library services. And yes, so we're doing the best we can there. When it came time to prepare the budget, I just want to emphasize, like the other town departments, how hard we worked. We revamped our budget on the fly in March. And then when I sat down in August to make my recommendations to the trustees, we looked around at other libraries. There are 27 other libraries serving populations of our relative size in New Hampshire. And we looked at their services and what they were offering, what we were, how we relate to them. And then we looked at the budget, how we had to spend it, what we prioritized when we had to cut it in March. Then we looked at the plans that we are hopeful and excited about, and looking forward to possibly putting into effect to serve the residents of Belmont. We have, so I went through, I evaluated, the trustees went through, and they went down every line item, looked at every single expense, questioned what we could do differently, better. Then we got to present to the selectmen as well, and grateful for that experience. I'm ready to answer any questions that you have concerning particular items in the budget or what we've been doing in the past year and what we might want to do in the future, theoretically. And yes, I'm ready for questions.
I'll take a motion to put this on the floor.
So move.
No.
I'll move 014550101 to 014550999.
Thank you. All right, discussion.
I noticed that one of the points that were made is that the federal earning threshold was used for 2 of the positions, or maybe just the 1 position. And I know that that was overturned on November 15th by a judge in Texas, so I was wondering if that was gonna go back to just having a standard increase.
So, I haven't had a chance to discuss with the trustees yet, and it's their decision. But when we looked at it in August, we did some comparison studies to see what it might look like to move my position to hourly. And I do not know what the trustees will decide. But, that is my consideration.
So does that mean that we wouldn't be voting on that
Can you
line
speak up a
item?
little more, please?
Does that mean that we wouldn't be voting on that line item until the trustees had a chance to review?
So speaking as one of the 3 that are here, we did not know that there was a change. in the law on that, because in order for us to even do that raise, we did consult with an attorney at the time. And we worked with Steve.
Could you please come up to the
Yep.
chair, please? Thank you.
Speaking on the three of us, out of the five, we didn't know that that was overturned. I know that we'd been working with Steve, and an attorney's office before when the law was implemented, and we worked on hourly, but we did not know, because it affects one of our employees, and we had to go through what her criteria was, for administrative as well. I don't know if you have any information, Steve, on that, or any changes?
I have an email from the Department of Labor that says, on November 15th, the U.S. District Court of Eastern District of Texas vacated the department's 24 final rule. Consequently, with regard to enforcement, the department is applying the 2019 rules minimum salary level of $6.84 per week and total annual compensation requirement. Lawsuits regarding the 24 final rule are currently pending in 2 other federal district courts, and the United States has filed a notice of appeal from the November 15th decision. The department will update this notice with additional information as it becomes available.
So I have, like I said, I haven't been able to talk to the trustees about it, so, but I don't know what they're thinking.
So this more was a
So
personnel problem.
So obviously, we would have to re-look at that, because as you can see, it was like a $4,000 increase from last year, and it was like an $8,000 if you went back from the default. So as trustees, we have a meeting next week, and we could reach out, working with Steve and the municipality attorney that we also have as well, and that we could come to.
I think the most appropriate means is where this is will most likely be a federal, fair laborers, that your best thing is to budget for what the standard is going to be. If they don't move forward with that, this internal decision is completely yours, whether you go with your prior decision or you go back to the normal step increase that she would have done, so.
Well, I think there's also an element of.
You'll have to come up, please.
I just would like to make a comment. I'm Sheila Cunningham, I'm a resident of Belmont, I'm one of the trustees. I think while this is being hashed out in the courts, we also have a responsibility to our employees not to frankly jerk them around. So if we budgeted for it and we're gonna move forward for it, I mean, we need to discuss this obviously, but we also need to consider that, you know, people have to plan what their income is going to be. So we can get back to you, but I just want to state that as a, you know, humanistic aspect, we need to consider that as well.
And I understand that and I respect that. I think this is happening in several offices, including the office that I work in, so I completely understand that. However, you know, making an increase in a budget time where we don't really have the budget and the means to do that, we need to really make sure that we're, in my opinion, voting appropriately. And until a decision's made, I don't think that I would recommend the budget amount.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the rest of that.
I said, until I know for certain what the trustees are going to decide to do, I don't feel that I want to make a decision tonight and vote for that budget amount.
So
So I
you're
don't
gonna
know how
make a
that-
motion to table it?
Well, it's either, or you do the rest of the budget but leave out the director's part of it, and we'll have to wait until, and then we'll have to bring it back up, correct?
We'll have to go before the selectmen.
But we don't even know, right, we don't know when the courts,
Well, I guess it's the trustees' decision, are they even going to entertain going back in their wage or not, I mean.
Right, so I think they need to decide what's gonna happen if this doesn't go through, if it's not
Right, and there's
approved.
only, I mean, we have a quorum now that's 3, but, I mean, we have a meeting next week where we would have the 5 trustees there that could be top of the agenda to discuss.
and there's also the element that, as far as the courts are concerned, this could be months before it's settled or years, so, you know, in the meantime, we have a budget to approve for the town, and I don't think this should be held
Well, if it's good, it's gonna make a difference, so, then we
But
could,
we also, but when we submitted this budget, we turned over every line item. And we made cuts in places that we would have preferred not to be able to provide this. So it's not like this was a slam dunk and we looked at it and said, oh, the government's telling us to do this and therefore we're going to do it. We really, really worked hard on that budget. So this was not a light decision. What do you suggest?
well, it's either, if you're gonna make a decision, then we could, when are you meeting next week?
Next, on the 10th.
It's the same time as your meeting.
Pardon?
It's the same time as your meeting next week.
Next Tuesday. And then is there another meeting after that one?
It's only if needed. I'd hate to call you guys all back in for one thing, but if we need to, then we need to.
What time is your meeting next week?
6:30.
6:30.
6:30, we meet at 6, so we could have that top priority, we could adjourn, and
But
then we could come over and.
Depends on if you're
The selectmen have to-
expecting a cost of increase, 5%.
If the difference in the numbers, the selectmen have to approve it, then we,
Would we still have time? Oh, that's your,
No.
yeah, no.
the next week is probably our last regular meeting, but we have one scheduled, I think of the 19th, for stuff that we have to pick up on, we could put it back out to there. That means another night, but it seems to be a quandrum that needs to be repaired before we can vote on it.
Well, other than the change in the federal mandate, I mean, which we have no control over, I'm not sure
It's the numbers that we deal with.
Right.
As far as how you implement it, it's not our problem. The problem is how much money that we have to put in it, that's all.
So would you like us to meet next week, when we meet at 6, we could adjourn and then come back over here? Or does the selectmen have to see it first, if there's a change in the decision?
They would still have to approve it.
After you or before you?
Personally, I'd just like to know what your decision's gonna be. If this is overturned, are you going to put it back to only having a 5% increase over, or are you going to keep it because we budgeted? That's my question.
And that's where I was going with that. It was, if we put the 58 in the budget, all right, and then it doesn't get used because of the mandate, because obviously none of our other employees are receiving that high of an increase, they just would be receiving a step. Do those funds then just go back into the general fund, which later on in the fall would go back to the taxpayers, right?
There is a point, I think, in your, I think the default budget, reflects my 2024 salary, to be, 50,396. The trustees in March did move, some money from the general expenses so that we could.
Not go into the default budget?
We could use
salary.
we could use we could do the raises for all of the library staff, so that, my current year salary is actually 54.
So I would suggest you move your meeting up, so you can do it on Monday, so you're all squared away for next
Yeah,
Tuesday.
that can't happen. We have to post it, and, I mean, we're all volunteers and we have different meetings. I mean, we could have it at 6 o'clock on Tuesday and then come right down here at, adjourn and be here before 6:30. The meeting starts at 6:30.
Right. Because it's difficult for us, you know, this is a personnel problem, and we're dealing with the numbers, and that's up to the selectmen and up to the board to decide all of this and then come to us with the numbers. That's what we're doing. So,
Which we have.
if,
I have some numbers if you want to. So her default salary is the 50 and change. Her proposed salary for 24 was the were to step, and sometimes the trustee doesn't step like the town does because they're their own board, they're their own entity. If she were to step the 4% that everyone else did, it would have been 56 and change. So the 56 to the 58 is 2,000 and change if you're looking at that difference.
Thank you.
I think, like Ruth said, if we go with the 58, and if you can't do it, it goes back to the taxpayers later on, and with the federal government and appeals courts, that could take 2 years before they ever straighten that out. So I say we just go with the number there, and if they come and say she can't have it, then it goes back to the taxpayers later on.
The only other comment that I'm gonna make is that other individual offices or the private sector, they're choosing not to do the step, so that they don't have to go backwards. That's my only other comment.
Well, I suggest what we'll do is we'll vote on this budget, like you say, Mark. And if there's any changes, they can come back at a later date. And if we have to make some corrections, that's what we'll do.
And what's the deadline for that, just so that we know what we're working with?
So, Mark's making the motion, I guess, to go with the 56, right? 656, rather. Is that what your motion's gonna be?
58, 656, yeah.
So, that's what we're gonna do. And
Wasn't
then
the motion
if there's any changes, then, we'll have to come back and do it, but we can't hash that out here tonight. We've got other things we gotta do, and,
Well, you also have to trust that we put a lot into that budget.
yeah. I don't think we're gonna quibble over that, but, we just need to move on.
Isn't the motion though gonna be for the full amount? I mean, we're not doing it by the motion was to discuss all the line items, so the motion should.
Oh, no,
For the total.
No, we're
For the
just gonna
260.
stay with what's there, and so we'll take a motion on
Yeah.
all of these. So we're not gonna change anything tonight.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Sheila, to answer your question, as of right now, next week is their last meeting. We do have one more week after if there's items that I need to bring back up to them at then. But if we meet here at 6:30, we have a lot on the agenda. So if you guys do have your meeting, you do decide to make a change or not make a change, certainly, like you said, pause your meeting, come back over here, let us know, and then they can revisit it if, whatever decision you may have.
Oh, thank you.
Look,
Yeah,
well,
so-
we're not done yet. Don't leave.
Done it.
We still gotta vote on all of this. So, Ruth, did we get a second on that, right?
I'll second it.
No,
We still have all the
one,
discussion.
101 to 999.
Right,
You made that motion.
I did move that, that's correct.
Did anybody second it?
I second.
All right, so, all right, we'll have discussion on that then. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Opposed.
Yeah,
I'm still opposed.
we have some opposing.
You have one opposed.
Okay, but that's on the discussion. This is
Oh.
just on, not on the full dollar amount. You're just closing.
Well, we haven't done the full
line
dollar
item
amount yet, though. That was just on discussion on all the line items.
of
We
all-
still got to the bottom line.
Correct. So,
I need-
are you opposing the discussion? No, okay. Just wanna make sure I've got.
Who opposed it?
Well, no, basically, I think just, you're gonna oppose the bottom line, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I need a motion on the bottom line of 262,246.
As
Yes,
recommended by the select.
That's correct. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed.
And I'm gonna abstain until we know,
Right.
Yeah,
I
that's
wanna
fine.
abstain too.
I'm gonna abstain until we know what the results are.
Okay, that's fine.
I wanna
All right,
abstain too.
we just gotta, we just can't iron that all out here tonight.
No.
No,
Thank
but
you.
I didn't want to approve it either.
Sorry. That's one person's opinion.
Well, it's just, we're not privy to everything. Ah, right.
Doing our job, putting it in cases.
Don't you love it?
Those two opposed, those two abstained. So opposed.
Oppose,
Yes.
oppose,
Mark.
abstain.
Oh,
Opposed, Rachel.
Well, this is
all right.
right at home.
Cemeteries, number eighteen.
As of yesterday, it had not been returned. I want to look at it and see it myself.
She doesn't have a problem with it, I don't.
I think.
Cemeteries,
18.
18.
Cemetery. Here we go. Let's talk about dead people. No.
So just a brief catch-up on the history and things that have been happening with the cemetery trustees. As many of you may know, I was up for election in March, and I was beat by Mr. Wells here in an election. Somewhere in the middle of the summer, Kyle Dodge, who was the sitting trustee, resigned because of a residence issue. He had moved out of the town of Belmont, and the Board of Selectmen had appointed me back to fill his seat, which expires in March of this year. Hillary Horn is the current chairman of the cemetery trustees. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here tonight because she's under the weather. So that's a brief history. If some of you are wondering why I'm sitting here, that's why I'm sitting here. As far as the budget goes,
I just want to get it on the table, so somebody just make a motion to get it.
I'll move 014195999.
All right. Discussion.
okay. So, our budget request is 27.5?
Yes.
That reflects, well, the great thing about having Fred on is that Fred does landscaping by trade, and so what we kind of did this year is, how much do you think this would cost for a maintenance, you know, if you were doing this, and we kind of took like that number, and, we added $3,000 to it, which is what we traditionally do, to cover emergency storm expenses and things like that. And it just made it easier. We bid our maintenance contracts out in 2-year cycles now, and we found that that works really well. We'll be meeting on Friday to go over the proposals for, that and get that into, the newspaper late December, early January, so that we can, get bids for that for 25 and 26.
How many cemeteries are we doing?
So now we are up to 24, so it will be 25. We had some cemeteries that we took care of that we have maintained since the cemetery trustees came into existence in '97, that weren't actually town-owned, they were descendant-owned. We had done some paperwork and, we did a public notice, in the spring, on 7 cemeteries that we had declared abandoned, and then the town of Belmont took over ownership of them. 2 of them are cemeteries, one is on Lad Hill. It is perceived to be empty, but we don't have any, significant verification that it actually is.
Where's that
Just-
one?
Huh?
Where is it?
You would ask.
It's right across, it's just before Ken Barnett's on the left-hand side,
Yeah,
as you
it's-
go up the hill.
Oh, on Lad Hill?
Yeah.
So we had some trees cut out of it, we had the rock well exposed, it had a spring and a fall clean in there. And we need to put signage in there, because, like I said, we can't prove that people have been moved from there. So to err on the side of caution, since it's listed as a cemetery, we
went with that and we'll have it as that designation and just kind of, you know, clean the debris out of it and stuff like that. And then, one of the cemeteries that we did not own, that we hadn't been in and hadn't had any maintenance in over 50 years was a cemetery, that is on Brown Hill Road across from
Countryside Circle.
Countryside Circle.
Is that by Atherton's?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
on the property before Atherton's, it's actually in the woods,
Is
bought
that the
actually
Weeks,
to
the old Weeks property?
It was on Holland's
Holland's
property.
property.
That little lady?
Yeah, and it was out in the woods, and, you have a
Yeah,
packet of this is pictures that we took of this when we were out there this summer, but this is a capital reserve. So what'll happen is that, once we start this project and taking care of this, then that cemetery will then move to the maintenance contract.
Okay, so, you're talking about capital, a lot of work to be done
Now
on
we're
it.
gonna,
I'll give you a couple of, we have contact with inmates at the state prison that can do some of that work for you, if you want.
yes, we're gonna want that.
I know, but so you're just gonna have to set that up, then we, at the Legion, we deal with a group from Holderness School. They come down and give us a day's work, so you're gonna have to line all of that stuff up and get as much free as you want, as long as you can get the access to it.
Yeah, so that's, one of the things that we have to, fortunately, the property was sold again, it's owned by,
Oh, you had asked, I remember.
his name
Well,
was,
That's not material to us, but,
so that property with the cemetery, we have an easement that's deeded with the property
Okay.
to allow us access. We just have to figure out what is the shortest and least inexpensive way to access it.
all right, so that's gonna be in your capital anyway.
That is gonna be, the focus of the capital, but once that's done, then it moves into
Part of the maintenance.
part of the maintenance, so that,
That's fine. Okay. Any questions? So-
As you know, everything has gone up.
Oh, we know that, but, there's a lot, you know, looking at all the photographs and all of that stuff, I can see there's a lot of work there, and, but it's gonna take some logistics to get this thing done, but, we're not gonna be able to do it tonight.
No,
So what we wanna do is, vote on the bottom line, that's what we're gonna do.
so, and I can tell you, for our default, we had requested, like, I wanna say it was 22.6 last year. We got our default of 21,000. We had worked out arrangements, with the current maintenance contract that we had. We actually had used some of our capital and was able to give back about 8,100 of the 21,000 that we were gonna get to, offset some of that to help cover the default budget as well. But, I think like Donna said when she started, that's probably not a route that we're gonna be able to take again.
Well, you, got some new cadre on there now, so you can put them to work. So, any more discussion? Take a motion,
27.5 as recommended by the selectmen.
Second?
been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Sorry, I missed the second. Who was the second on that?
I was,
Thank you.
So, that is the bottom line on that one, total. 27.5 as recommended by the selectmen.
And if you would allow us to do the capital while we're here.
No, not, well, I know, but it's 8 o'clock, and I'm sure Donna and Heritage, got work. We haven't done any of the capital yet, so. Evening.
Donovan, Chairman of the Heritage Commission,
Donovan, member of Heritage Commission.
and Vicki Donovan's husband.
Second in command.
Is that by choice or is that by default? By default.
So, thank you for having us, and I'm gonna be quick. I think I'd like to just give you some highlights of what we did in 2024 and what we're hoping to accomplish in 25. In 2024, we did our Community Heritage Awards, which have become a wonderful reason to honor those who have helped in the town in many ways. We printed out almost 100 Belmont historical booklets that we designed. We've been doing this for many years to fourth graders, which has helped them to understand their town better and the historical buildings in the town, which is wonderful. The Senior Citizens Food Drive, which was organized for Belmont seniors and coordinated with the Belmont Elementary Students, Student Council and staff. And we do it on Valentine's Day, and we call it, we love our senior citizens because they're part of our heritage, and that's why we do that. Old Home Day, we paid for the Old Home Day band. We installed 11 new banners throughout the village. We paid a Preservation Alliance member dues. We got a lot of information from them. And they were very, very supportive of the Linda Frawley Memorial, which we sponsored and presented honoring Linda Frawley this past fall with a memorial plaque and garden area. In 2025, here are some of the projected projects that we have in view. New United States flags along the Upper Main Street and Church Street, and we are doing that in conjunction with the American Legion. And also we have to get in the little hardware to put on the telephone poles. We have to go through the Eversource to do that. So that's taking a little longer than we thought, but we're getting there.
Were you able to get the Purple Heart?
I'm working with that with, I have some flags in mind, but I have to see if you guys like it, so. There's a couple of areas places I've checked out. We're going to replace the bandstand in the mill New Hampshire State Register of Historic Places seals. If you look at the bandstand, there's a granite post and there's one in the mill, and it's just deteriorated over the years, and you can't really even look at it. So we're looking at that, and I'm hoping the Preservation Alliance helps us with that. The big thing is we've been doing this for a while, to secure artifacts, old photos, documents, etc., in conjunction with the Historical Society. And moving the items out of the bank should happen. I'm really waiting for them to give me their itemized list of things, and we're looking at purchasing glass cases and other items to protect them from, my goodness, Suzanne Roberts, Wallace Rhodes. I'm just really nervous about making sure that we can do what we can to damage that might already be done and trying to repair that or just to stop anything continuing. We would like to bring back the band concerts at the bandstand, and we're hoping to work with the Parks and Rec with this project. Belmont history into the schools. We've got the elementary schools. We're in conjunction with the high school. It was actually very interesting because they wanted some information about the mascot, and they had to change it. So they asked me to come, and I had to do the whole history of what I found out. And they did change it, and that was wonderful to have that connection. So I'm looking forward to working with them in the future. We're continuing our collection of written interviews from Belmont residents, and we're hoping to do a published book. We did a DVD that was about 3 years before that's actually available at the library, if anyone wants that. And we're going to continue with our Senior Citizens Valentine's Day, We Love Our Seniors project, food drive. All of the established Heritage Commission programs, activities, we're all set with that. So any questions? How's that?
I just have one, on the, horse drinking fountain, trough,
Yes, you would need to have a,
placard or
plaque
something.
there too.
Cause that used to be up, further up on, Main Street, where Penstock Park is. And then when the sewer line went in, it got moved and we preserved it and put it down there, so. That needs to be, probably an old picture of it or something like that, but that was the, drinking, trough for the horses when they came into town. That's why we saved it. Sue and
I think that is written in. I'm sure I don't have it on my list, but I will.
Sue Robertson. I'll give you a photograph of it.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just have a question. Your actual shows you only spent 250 so far out of the 4750 for a budget. Is that because you changed plans, or
Well,
what happened?
The year isn't up.
probably, that actually was a phenomenal situation where people just gave money and presented a check to us, and we came up $63 a head because it cost about $3,500 for that whole thing, and the banners cost $6,000, so we have money in our till, I guess you call it, that was put there from Linda Frawley way back, and that's where that money came from.
So the 45 has been extended. The 45 is a warrant article, so in December is when we move that money. So.
Okay.
Do you have a price on your seals for the bandstand and the mill?
No,
I don't know if anybody's been down on the trail and see the, one that they had for the, used to be the old train station, and when the train came in, that's very nice. All right.
I'll move 0145894557 to 0145894558.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
thank you so much. Great night.
Thank you. Thanks for waiting.
The positive.
See, Jack was dancing back there.
Not as dancing as you.
I know. But Donna got up here quick.
I'll make a
Yes,
motion
total
to
amount.
accept the selectmen's,
$1,750 as recommended by the selectmen.
Been moved and seconded.
it's okay.
What'd you say, Rachel?
No, she was doing the motion to accept the bottom line.
But
Oh.
then somebody else was doing it,
Moved
so.
and seconded.
Speak up.
Everyone was talking over me.
I know, but I think my number, actually, if I had more checks.
And I need a vote in favor or opposed. Ron, now we need a vote in favor or opposed.
For the bottom line, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There we go. Donna kinda got up and was getting after us. Oh, so we're on 20. Oh, you're gonna have to excuse me.
But you might even get it. Yeah, you just can't hold it. I dream of that problem, the bottleneck.
I keep waiting for that TV to come down off the wall.
Right. So that's why, so there's some of that added in, and then I have 800 more coming, and then I have, I don't know, whatever. I feel like a loan shark.
I want to see it, because I don't think it's been overturned.
Yeah. couple signatures, like from Don, Paul, all the guys down there. Oh, I really needed to get up.
Yeah.
Good idea.
These were the November 19th minutes. For some reason, it didn't come down to send, guys.
Thank you, you have it in your book.
Did he sign?
Hold nice talk.
If he signed it, he just went that way with
Easy,
it.
easy. They weren't here yet.
Huh? What?
There should be 3 sets total of minutes.
Yeah.
Right,
And
I
she
only.
used the term,
Where are the others?
she used that term, and I go, wait a minute, it said the pot calling the kettle black.
I thought sure it would be.
Sure, thanks. May your sweet lips never fester. May the bird of paradise fly up your nose.
Behave. No, we're working on that right now.
We'll be ready to try to pull that. That's what I'm saying. I've been sitting too long.
That's why I'm retired.
There you go.
Are you really ready?
I see your father made 90.
I what?
Your father made 90.
He did.
I saw that. That's a,
Sure will make 91, but you know what?
I'm surprised he made it that long.
I know. I love him. Are we ready? I'm
Go.
glad Vicky came in front of me, because it was all positive and everything was so great. So for all of you that don't know, I have been doing welfare for the town for now 31 years. Started out free, did it part-time, elevated to full-time. In the 31 years, I have never, ever seen what I'm seeing. I have never overrun a budget. I have brought money back. I have been more creative than probably anybody in my field. And I almost feel like it's embarrassing for me to come here and tell you that, the amount of money we've spent, and it's unstoppable at this point. The homeless population is so out of control. I don't even know how to explain it. I gave you this kind of little handout. It just kind of gives you an idea of what the rents are really looking at. They are between really $1,600, $1,800, $1,900 for a 2-bedroom. It's ridiculous. If you can find it less than that, it's real questionable on where it is and why it's less, because the landlords have all kind of gathered together and realized that they can get what they get, and it is what it is. So, with that said, it's forced a lot of individuals out of their homes, basically. And they can't afford their rents. They allow for their rents to get, a lot of them were in units, individuals that were paying $1,200, $1,300 a month. And something happens, they get behind even further, gives landlord the opportunity to say, time to move you along. The minute they move out, rents go up to $1,600, $1,700, $1,800. It's unbelievable. There's no negotiating anymore. You still have to negotiate with landlords to say, hey, look, if, I get charitable, I get this, I get that, we can buy down on this mess, we'll get them back in, let me get them on some housing lists, potentially. Even if we bridge a gap for a couple $100 a month, it's better than us paying $1,800, $1,600, or displacing kids. And so what's happened is there's a lot of people that are floating, and I'll talk just from the educational perspective. So if we have a family that gets displaced, couple kids, 2, 3 kids, in fact right now, one of my cottages that I have a husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, so crazy to think that I'm paying $1,600 because at this point, the vehicle broke down, dad lost his job, and now mom's mental health issues are off the charts. What do you do? I mean, you know, I have social workers come in, but and all the social workers in the world are great, but there's no money behind it, you know? I mean, the domestic situations that I experienced this year, I started counting because I couldn't believe it, are 16 of them. And out of 16 of them, not one of them went to New Beginnings. I just wanna let you know that. I can't get in there for anything there is. And they've been spread all over the state. When you have little people with, you know, that are the victims of bad situations that have gone on, trying to get a family situation and a domestic situation is horrific. I mean, it's, thank God I've made a couple of really good inroads, independent upon the circumstances, as long as I won't let go of the case. They may take them, or they have taken them, so we've been blessed with that kind of stuff. The utility, Eversource has kind of stabilized. Fuel assistance has adjusted their numbers a little bit, so I'm not quite sure we're gonna see this year a lot of like electric increases outside of the homeless population. And you'll see when you start looking at my budget, there's a lot of line items that are lower, because if I have homeless populations at the level that I have them right now, they don't have a home, so I have to worry about lights or heat or any of that. And it's scary. How do I build a budget? Because if something does start to happen in the state and there is more housing, then they're gonna need those services. So I'm like, there's like no crystal ball when it starts to look at, what do I do? And then heating prices, obviously, everybody knows, they're still holding pretty high. I mean, regular number 2 is $3.45 a gallon. So when someone comes up short before the season, meaning before December 1st, that fuel assistance opens up, it's gonna cost me probably $690 to put a couple hundred gallons in their tank. And why would I put a couple hundred? Well, because if we do that and then cap comes into play, chances are in the spring I'm not filling it again, not knowing where these prices are going or what's gonna happen. So again, it all depends upon, is it a senior who's gonna have their heat at 80 degrees, you know, for an indefinite period of time or not? But again, I'm not even getting that population for the most part. I have homeless seniors. I mean, it's crazy. It's really earth-shattering. Childcare, I mean, anyone have grandkids or children, $280, $300 a child. You take that for a year, that's $14,500 for childcare. When you're looking at, you know, wage earners, not, you know, like skilled labor that is really like on that low to moderate, that's only one child. I mean, you're talking $25,000 for 2 kids. And so then they come in and they go, what do I do? If I don't send the kids to childcare, I lose my job, but my job doesn't mean anything because by the end of the week, I got $140 left, and now I can't pay my rent. And so and like I said, I'm glad Vicki was in front of me, because this is all real stuff that nobody really kind of looks at, because as long as their homes are intact, they don't think beyond it until something really personal affects them, and then it starts breaking open. Social Security this year, it's gonna get a 2.5% COLA, and I was a little shocked with that. I thought and it's not whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, doesn't make any difference. This particular party has been more on the upward side, and so I would have expected a big number there, which I didn't see. But what's worse than that is, so our Social Security, our disability, both of them, they get the 2.5%, but but then the Medicare Part B.
Eats up
Now
most
we
of it.
know.
Yeah,
There it goes.
there it goes. So last year, they took $174 out of the Social Security checks for Medicare Part B. And so this year, they're now taking $10.30 more. So now it's $185. So if you take the short of $50 that someone might have gotten their check, and now we're gonna back out $10.30, they really didn't get a lot. I mean, and I just showed you what prior years were. I mean, last year, it was a 3.2%. The year before was an 8.7 and a 5.9. Yes, there was some COVID times there where there was a lot of money, so everybody felt good, and they threw it where they wanted to, but it didn't balance itself very well. You see on page 2, you'll see my contracted motel and winter cottages. The winter cottages are now full-time. We've convinced this land investor to allow for us to have some. And when I say us, the city of Laconia and I have partnered to negotiate with this land investor who owns a couple of places up the weirs. And if we weren't being videoed, I'd tell you where they are. You gotta roll with it, because I don't want all the other towns jumping in and trying to barter their way in the door when we need every ounce of space we can get. So the motel, they're motel rooms, and as I said, they consist of a bed, a microwave, and a apartment-sized refrigerator and a bathroom. If you go to the Carey House, which I can never get anyone in, now they have a wait list, so it isn't like I can call and say, hey, what do you have for beds, can you tell me? It's, well, are they on the wait list? Well, if they show up on my door today, they're not on the wait list, and so how do I get them in there? It's almost like impossible. But anyhow, going back to the motel room, basically, if they went to the Carey room, Carey House, there would be 4 beds, 2 sets of bunk beds in a room, whether it be men's or women's. And so this individual who I call it contracted, we have to buy a room for a month. He doesn't want to do the week to week, and he refuses to participate with renting to clients, individuals. So everything has to go through us. So I buy a room for a month, and it's our room. Therefore, they sign a shelter agreement. Shelter agreement says no drugs, no alcohol, no pets unless it's specially approved. I can move you at any given point in time, so if the shelter space comes, they get out of there, they go somewhere else. And if you break any of these rules, you're done. I mean, you're out. And however, the law kind of is very interested. So I can sanction them for 7 days, and on day 8, they're homeless, and so we own them again. And so it's really, it's more mind-boggling than I can even explain to you. But where I was going with the room, so basically I've been running, unless there's serious mental health of these kids, and we have a ton of that, usually, I hate to put more than 2 people that don't know each other in a room. I do it all the time. But 3 starts to throw a real problem with, because if you look at my rates, so I'm paying $1,200 a month, and that sounds like a lot of money. It's really only $40 a night. There isn't a hotel around you can buy for $40 a night. And if I put 2 people in that room, then it's only $20 a night. So it's kind of like a bargain, if you know what I mean. Yes, they're sleeping on cots. We, in my budget, under my other line, I have bought 4 cots, and so it works out well. I mean, people come, people go. Some leave. I try to put another one in that room. If not, it's one person. It's still cheaper $40 a night. The cottage in those rooms don't have, so they're living with a microwave, college refrigerator, and, maybe a coffee pot if, I don't think they're gonna pop a circuit breaker. But there's no hot plates, there's no air fryers, there's none of that stuff. There is internet, that's provided, and that is for job searches, apartment searches, and then obviously Department of Health and Human Services or all that kind of stuff. So, and then the contracted winterized cottages, again, those have little kitchens, you know, they're regular refrigerator, a little tiny stove, you know, no bathroom or whatever. So, if you drop down, the Econo Lodge, that negotiated rate is $550, that's $70 a night. And you have to buy it by the week with those guys, you don't get to have like a day here and there. Super 8, it's like off the charts, it's $130 to $133, and then the DK, I used to have a rate over there of $2,100 a night. Again, she was always for 30 days, that's still $70 a night. The problem is the DK is so far away at this stage of the game. If I can congregate more people, I'm only running up to the Weirs every day once, instead of going to Franklin to go to, and then obviously the family shelter, which I've been able to get six different families in there this year, and that's been, I mean, a pretty awesome opportunity for us. So, where are we with numbers?
I'll move 0144411101, 0144411505.
Been moved, do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. I don't know how you do it, Donna, I really don't.
Honest to God, Ron, I came home last night and I said, I'm done. I am done. I'm not doing this anymore. Thanksgiving, Belmont PD called me up. It was at 5 o'clock. There was a 74-year-old man sleeping in his car at the Belmont Mall.
Yeah.
I said, do we have a name? Do we know anything about him? Yeah, he has a dog. It's a pit bull. I said, okay, keep talking. He said he has lived in his car pretty much his whole life. Gave me the name. I knew exactly who it was. Guy doesn't ask for anything, doesn't get food stamps, he works little jobs here and there, makes enough money, lives in his station wagon, and his water pump went. And so I said, I know where I can put him. I thought, here it is, Thanksgiving, 5 o'clock. I called Kathy with the city of Lacon, text her. I said, because I had one room left. And she said, oh, I filled that yesterday. I was like, oh no. Patrick from the police department, he refused to go to Isaiah's, which is the homeless shelter in Laconia, and it's, it has its purpose. And so he was on until 2 o'clock, and he went over, and the guy got in his car off and on, and refused anything else. And so I went over the next day, and somebody had picked him up, and he was getting what he needed. Otherwise, I would have reached out, because now and then, I have enough resources that I could have gotten a water pump or whatever if he didn't have any pocket money. But it's not even, it's crazy. I mean, it's so crazy, it's not funny. It's not fathomable, that's all I can say. I mean,
Well,
I go into one of my cottages yesterday. I go in to check on these people. Dad's in a bed. I know this is the last story I'll give you. Dad's in a bed, all covered up. I said, gee, I thought Dad was able to sit in a chair and whatever. Oh no, he doesn't have to get out of the bed. Okay. I look at the table, there's a big bottle of wine, a box, with one of those spits. Okay? And but I'm thinking, all right, Donna, don't jump to conclusions, it's okay. okay? Now, mom takes care of dad, who's in the bed. Dad's the cash cow in the household forehouse. And mom, I looked at her, and boom, there goes a cat. Boom, there goes another one. And I'm like, let me off this bus. This is funny. So I said, what's with the animals? Well, we had these two, and we had kittens, and we all felt, this four of us, we all fell in love. I said, well, I'll tell you what, we're all gonna do kisses and hugs, gonna call it Humane Society, kitties have to go by the end of the week. But I looked at mom and I said, I said, whose is that? That's fine. I said, really? You signed the shelter agreement, it's clearly stated, no drugs, no alcohol, blah, blah, blah. She goes, yeah, and I'll never stop drinking. I said, okay. And so then I said, and cigarettes, there's a whole bunch in the stash tray, but it didn't smell like smoke, and I don't smoke, so I can pick it up at a heartbeat. So I said, so what are we doing? Going out on the back porch. I said, okay, first positive thing we can say. And then comes clothes. Oh, they Mickey rigged this line in this back. Now it's sliders in the back. And I'm looking at this. This cottage has carpeting on it and the two sliders, and they wash these clothes by hand, and all this water is dripping on the floor. And I'm like, you know what, this is like being in a bad movie. I said, okay. So I said to the guy, the youngest one, him and his girlfriend, I said, did you get a job? And he goes, what do I have? I said, I'm giving you 2 days. Fun spot, then there's the loony bin, and all walking distance, you know. And so I said, Mom, you have to pack up, you're out of here. You're done, you're gone. And she was like, what? So she had until today to get out. Tomorrow I'll go up there and I'll find out. She broke the rules, all of these different things, you know. But it's just, and who's taking care of dad now? So now I gotta call the Bureau of Protective Services and say, this issue's bigger than the complexity of this now compared to what we used to do and how we did it is just, it's mind-boggling, it's not real.
Can you explain, I guess for me, because I don't understand, what do you mean by we own them? Why does the town have to pick up on this?
Oh, I love it. That's a great question.
And I'm not saying that what you're doing isn't important, don't take that the wrong way. I'm just curious as to why.
RSA 165, write that down. If you read it, it'll make you.
165?
165. Basically, it says to relieve and maintain. So we relieve and maintain homelessness or all kinds of other stuff. Liability support is an RSA that's in there that I can reach out to family members and we can try to get them engaged. A good percent of the population I'm serving, when you call the family members, they want me to help them too, because it's just awful. So when they apply to us, and there's a pretty comprehensive application, if they're homeless, especially in that population, this population, that seems to be 2/3 of what we're dealing with these days, the law doesn't, everything they own is in a knapsack or backpack. I mean, so I can't ask for like their benefit letters, I can, and I expect it within 3 days, or I have to go chase it with them because they don't have the capacity to get it on their own, or food stamps. And so there's so much involved with these people that the law says if they land on our doorstep today, it's my responsibility to drill where'd you come from, where was your last stable, where you paid rent or you were on a lease or something. Most of the individuals have bounced so much, there's no track, so the woman that I have that I put at one of these cottages this morning has been sleeping in her car, she sleeps out behind the Belmont Mall, she has been in our parking lot here, out back here, and several different places around town. And so the question is, why Belmont? You know, and I can't say that because if you look at any one of the department budgets, welfare budgets, in every city and town there is, they're off the tops. I mean, the people that are in these positions, I just went to this big training and conference, and the average, there's only 4 of us that are like seasoned enough to be able to try to create and do what we need to do to minimize as much as we can and still help people that really need it. The rest are all new. I mean, 1 year to 3 years is the industry right now. And they don't understand why you just don't give everybody everything, you know? There's a lot of creative ways of putting people together or helping them. Many people don't know, like Carissa, who was with Partnership to Help. I was hoping you guys didn't cut that budget because they help our seniors with all the medication and all that kind of stuff. So I can start resourcing, but it's still, it's me. I mean, it's a ton of work. And until I can get them into a place or stable, we do, I hate to use that verbiage, but we own them. However, I have collected almost $12,000 this year from that population. Because if I'm working and you're working, and they are homeless and let's say getting a disability check or, working part-time or coordinated for somebody to pick up somebody, then I expect you, and we don't call it rent, we call it a shelter contribution. And so like one girl I have, she's up to $800. We can't find a place next week, I think so. She's gonna be able to spend Christmas in her own room and house somewhere locally. But others 400, whatever, do a budget, and I look, and whatever their budget I can tweak out of it, that's their responsibility to help us, to offset. So it doesn't mean anything when I've spent $120,000 this year. I know, I think Steve today did some posting, the actual to date says 114, but by the time those other cottages kick in and everything, it's up to $120,000. I mean, that's like, I keep looking at it like, how could that happen? But it's just, there's no pulling it back at this point. It's just work our fannies off to see what we can do to coordinate.
The sad part with it, we sit there listening and everybody's preaching, we need more housing, we need more housing. Okay, what are they doing? You don't just create housing overnight, it's gonna take.
Well, and the biggest problem is if the people get evicted, that's the biggest.
Yeah, then they won't.
Because now, and that's, and I mean, do you have a brother or a cousin, did you rent, but, I mean, you have to be creative on how you kind of put when they start applying for like jobs or housing apps, we are very selective on verbiage to see if we can sell somebody the right way and still not necessarily fib.
See, the problem is the average people, they moved into town, they got nice homes and all that, they don't see what's going on
Right.
underneath. You drive around and you see this old rundown trailer and somebody's living in it, they're just surviving if they can. It's awful. And, you go shopping for 2 people, it costs you $200.
Well,
That's crazy.
The cost of living has elevated
Yep.
to such a level, and it's no different, and it's no skin off of my nose what anyone does, but when you start looking at wages and stuff like that, every one of you are feeling the pinch. There's just no way, but how do you? How do you retain people when other people are throwing more money on the table and buying people? And you start looking at these numbers here on what it costs to, put oil in your tank, because if you're on that in-between stage where you've elevated out of the community action guidelines, now you're, when you have 1 child and you're trying to put oil and you have to have a car payment, and car insurance and house insurance just went up. It's unstoppable, and then try to factor all this stuff. RSA 165 was They've been able to modify it and tweak it a little bit, but nobody wants to give up local control. And that's the biggest problem, because the minute you start changing rules and making them defined, then the Pittsburgh, New Hampshires don't want these same rules that we have here. Or Nashua, I think, has got $1 million welfare budget this year, I almost fell over at the conference. I mean, it's just, it's unbelievable.
And Nashua last year put in 4,000 low-income housing units.
Yeah.
4,000 units, 3,000 of them are low income.
Yeah.
But what's that do to your, rest of your budget with the schools and everything? It's like, why do you want to invite that?
Well, the biggest problem, Mark, with the whole school piece is, so if we, like this woman that I have, she's got 3 kids, and let's just say, they have Section 8 voucher. They have a voucher, and they just got, I said evicted, I got stepped on, a non-rent renewal, non-lease renewal. So that tells you that if you get a landlord who, and this is a decent landlord, who gave them a brand new apartment and they're not renewing the lease, and their rent is only $81 a month with their Section 8 voucher, something's definitely wrong. Well, they get evicted, they come here, we own them, okay, there's 3 kids. Those 3 kids, okay, that she homeschooled, I brought systems in place because I know there's some big challenges in the household. Those kids are going to school, they're gonna go to school here. They're gonna have to set up all these specials for these kids, and they'll contract, they have to contract services to take care of these kids. And within 6 to 8 weeks, that family is probably gonna move to Manchester. Because I've convinced them that there's walking distance, there's more housing in certain areas. They've chose like Manchester, that type of area. But in the meantime, those kids are going to this school system. That school system just sunk 3 different specials, I mean contracted services, because these kids all have serious, mental health issues or educational issues. And then guess what? They're leaving. Now they've got 6 months worth of a contract, because I think the contracts are either 3 or 6 months, and I stand to be corrected. So that's in the budget. I mean, it's just, there's so many different layers, and until the state of New Hampshire learns how to, fund education, takes it under its own belt, and I say it, you'll hear me forever, we're gonna chase our tail with that. We are. The town gets beat up, we get beat up, because, well, we gotta, Facebook, I love it, everybody hides behind the keyboard. We gotta slice, we gotta get rid of the selectmen. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of the selectmen, we're gonna put 5 more in. What are they gonna do? Because generationally, we got 2 new ones, and nothing against Travis and Sharon, but, it's not about that. It's about, we got budgets, everybody crunched and it was wild when the budget didn't pass, based on 17 votes. It was 17 votes last year that this budget, that was the first time in history that this operating budget never passed. It blows my mind. Like, you want roads, you need police, you cry, the phone rings if the guy's dog is barking next door, and yet, I'm blowing the budget terribly here, but in the same respect, it's all about, as long as I don't have to look in my backyard, I can pay my bills, I don't care. And people coming in from out of state are going to surface, I'm telling you, they are going to surface. And when they do, their demands are gonna be a lot greater than what we do here.
Yep.
They are, because
Well, we've already had the phone calls that people,
Streetlights.
move over on
Streetlights.
Jamestown Road or wherever, and they're calling town hall, wanting to know what they can do to get streetlights.
Or a sidewalk.
Huh?
Honest to God, because they changed it, and we always, I was always general assistance, so I was getting every call there was on people complaining that, well, where is my community center? Why don't I have lights? My street is so dark. And I'm like, and you can tell by the different twangs of the lights. And I'm like, so when did you move here? Oh yeah, we sold our house. Where did you move to? Oh yeah, we have a beautiful home. We have money in the bank. I mean, people go da 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 da. And I'm sitting here going, and all of a sudden, when things start getting bad, and people keep saying no in these budgets, those people are gonna surface. And when they do, I'm telling you, they're gonna control this town. We're not gonna control it.
It's gonna hit the fan.
It is. All right.
We're not gonna finish that, so it's getting on there to 9 o'clock, so. Yeah.
Very good, Don.
Donna, you've just been so much fun.
Sorry, that's why I was so happy that Vicki, actually, I should've went in front of her and then she could've did the big.
No, that's fine.
big
We saved the
show.
best for last.
I'm so sorry. I am really. I'm sorry for me too. I'm a taxpayer, a big one.
Well, I remember when you were selectman back in 91.
And people still think I am, so you know what? We're not gonna go there.
Okay.
So, basically, the first group, the 101 to 505, there's only a couple, I was able to cut out the 290, which is conferences and dues, $150 there, and, the 293 line, $40. Everything else is pretty standard. I've waived a step and no COLA, no anything for 2 years, not asking for it again, anymore. So,
Goodbye.
no, Uncle Sam takes 2/3 of my $2,000 or $3,000 I get, so, you know what? If it doesn't make me a target, we can pass a budget, then rock on.
All right. I think we got it, so we're gonna vote on it. I can't imagine there's any more questions.
Sorry.
So you need a motion for that figure, or are you gonna wait till the bottom?
No, we haven't voted on anything. Anything, yeah. 101 to 505 is what we're gonna vote on right now.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Now we're going down the vendors.
I'll move 01444540 to 0144454441. I think I got all four.
Yep.
Well, we just wanna go back up above to do the bottom line as proposed by the selectmen.
Recommended by the selectmen.
Yeah, 95. Somebody make that motion.
So moved.
No, make the motion.
I move to approve lines 014441 and to 505 for the amount of $95,934 as recommended by the selectmen.
Thank you.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we can go down to vendors.
And I already moved that, right? Nobody
Yeah,
seconded
you
it?
did,
Yeah.
but
Mark did.
Mark
Yeah.
sent it, so
Yeah.
we have discussion now.
So,
We did, it's like throwing a dart at the wall, so,
it
yeah.
is, it is.
It
The
is what it
housing
is.
line- The housing line, is just breathtaking. It was, in 2024, I budgeted $80,000. Unfortunately, the budget didn't pass, so then it dropped to default of 72. Currently, today, is my sheet here, we spent 120, I think it is, right here. I spent 120,763 and 92 cents. So that's, I mean, if you base it off of the 80,000 that I would have budgeted last year, I'm already over 40,000. And I just just don't, I mean, you can put whatever number, if you wanna say, you know what, that's just too much. I just don't know what to put in there, I'm not gonna lie to you, I gave you the costs of these hotels that I got a really wicked deal on, which sounds crazy.
Well, I don't think anybody's gonna work as hard. If somebody replaces you, they're just gonna come up with the numbers and they're not gonna care.
You're adding another person to my office, Ron.
Huh?
You're adding another person to my office. You'll have 1.5, 2.
Yeah, but they're not gonna do like you do, take somebody shopping.
I mean, I'm not telling you, and I don't need a whoopee button. I mean, I've been doing it forever.
Well, I know, but,
So, Donna, if, God forbid, it won't happen, but I'm gonna ask the question anyways. If the budget didn't pass, then we would still go back to the 72, correct?
Yeah.
So the law says.
I understand,
Throw
yeah.
that law out there so everybody knows
yeah.
what it says. It says that welfare and legal are the two budgets that are unstoppable. So if I go over, I am going to pull from, at that point, if we go into default again, then it becomes just the bucket of money.
And we already are over budget, so she's already pulling from other people's budgets to cover that bottom line.
but the state doesn't care. You gotta take care of them regardless.
Exactly, and, I listen to other towns, and this is not just Belmont, like, pretty much a lot of other towns are well overexpended their welfare line, mainly to the housing, and not just by a little bit, like hundreds of thousands in some instances, or thousands.
Okay,
So,
I'll take a motion. No,
well, you were gonna take the whole bracket, the food and stuff, I took $1,000 off. I mean, it just feels like the utilities, I minus 800, cause if if the floor plan changes here, then we're gonna need more utility monies to,
well, electricity's going up another 9% in the spring.
well, so I met with the PUC, and I got a wicked education on that, and someday I'll educate you
Oh,
on how it
that's
all
all right.
goes.
I've been around long enough.
A portion of it, the actual, and my little thing here, I think I told you, in August of 2025 is when the PUC and the regulatory board they put this huge packet together. So they get the right to approve a portion. The other portion will be approved no later than August of 2025.
You're talking about 9%.
What you have right here.
No, that's what we're paying now.
Yeah.
So, but that's only one portion. So whether they lock them in at that, I don't know, but they have until August of 25 because it was much higher. It was like, I can educate you, Fred, if you want. I got a book on it.
Okay.
And they wonder why people are losing their homes and stuff.
I agree. Listen.
I know. This is not a great budget to deal with. Makes you
So
cry.
other than that, you can slice and dice, you can cut
But
some out of it to
it doesn't make
offset something else.
It doesn't make any difference, because if it goes over, it goes over. It is what it is. And I remember years ago, I'd say, did you put enough money in there for oil? And you always said, yeah.
Like I'm being
Donna,
badass, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Donna, really, you can't, I can,
What?
and I made it. And now, like I said, when I started this, I'm almost embarrassed to sit here and tell you that I've gone over, whatever.
All right. Well, does anybody have any questions?
We wouldn't dare ask any questions.
Don't ask them.
Okay, let's be real. I dare you.
I feel really bad that the weight of this is on your shoulders, I just wanna say.
When she's
Because you're doing a fantastic job.
She is.
It's a lot.
All right. I'm gonna take them. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right.
Move the total budget of $254,709 as recommended by the
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Well, Donna, I don't know how you do it, and I've said that for years.
I could not.
And how long have we been doing this?
31, this year makes 31 years.
Yeah, and then you were selectman before that.
Well, I actually started it, because the
Well,
town
I-
was in a lawsuit.
You and
They
Arthur.
were in a $1 million lawsuit when I took it over. And that was the, that was the, Baldic and,
Okay.
Dana Schaffenmeyer days.
Yeah, I remember that. So, did you get the minutes all signed back?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
We just need a motion to adjourn.
So
Yes.
moved. Second.
You're so moved.
Get the hell out of here.
Where would we be without you, Tyke? Oh, my God.
He's head of my church too.
Yeah. All right, so, next week, somebody else is gonna review it.
Oh, yeah, but this has been your pleasure, hasn't it?